Reading through the Bible in a year, May 2nd, Numbers chapter 9, Psalm 45, Song of Solomon chapter 7, and Hebrews chapter 7. The Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they came out of Egypt. He said, "Have the Israelites celebrate the Passover at the appointed time. Celebrate it at the appointed time, at twilight, on the 14th day of this month, in accordance with all its rules and regulations." So Moses told the Israelites to celebrate the Passover. And they did so in the desert of Sinai at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord commanded Moses. But some of them could not celebrate the Passover on that day because they were ceremonially unclean on account of a dead body. So they came to Moses and Aaron the same day, and said to Moses, "We have become unclean because of a dead body. But why should we be kept from presenting the Lord's offering with the other Israelites at the appointed time?" Moses answered them, "Wait until I find out what the Lord commands concerning you." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, when any of you or your descendants are unclean because of a dead body, or are away on a journey, they may still celebrate the Lord's Passover. They are to celebrate it on the 14th day of the second month at twilight. They are to eat the lamb together with the unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They must not leave any of it until morning or break any of its bones. But when they celebrate the Passover, they must follow all the regulations. But if a man who is ceremonially clean and not on a journey fails to celebrate the Passover, that person must be cut off from his people, because he did not present the Lord's offering at the appointed time. That man will bear the consequences of his sin. An alien living among you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover must do so in accordance with all its rules and regulations. You must have the same regulations for the alien and the native-born. On the day of the tabernacle, the tent of testimony was set up. The cloud covered it. From evening until morning, the cloud covered the tabernacle. From evening till morning, the cloud covered the tabernacle, looked like fire. Should it be from evening till morning, the cloud above the tabernacle? That makes more sense. I'm going to reread this again. From evening till morning, the cloud above the tabernacle, not the one that covered it, but the cloud above the tabernacle, looked like fire. That is how it continued to be. The cloud covered it, and at night it looked like fire. Whenever the cloud lifted up from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Whenever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out, and at his command they encamped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained in camp. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. At the Lord's command, they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening until morning. When it was lifted in the morning, they set out. Whether by day or by night, whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or even a year, the Israelites would remain in camp and would not set out. But when it lifted, they would set out. At the Lord's command they encamped, and at the Lord's command they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. Now, Psalm 45. My heart is stirred by a noble theme as I recite my verses for the king. My tongue is the pen of a skillful writer. You are the most excellent of men, and your lips have been anointed with grace, since God has blessed you forever. Gird your sword upon your side, O mighty one. Clothe yourself with splendor and majesty. In your majesty ride forth victoriously, in behalf of truth, humility, and righteousness. Let your right hand display awesome deeds. Let your sharp arrows pierce the hearts of the king's enemies. Let the nations fall beneath your feet. Your throne, O God, will last forever and ever. A scepter of justice will be the scepter of your kingdom. You love righteousness and hate wickedness. Therefore God, your God, has set you above your companions by anointing you with the oil of joy. All your robes are fragrant with myrrh and aloes and cassia, from palaces adorned with ivory. The music of the strings makes you glad. Daughters of kings are among your honored women. At your right hand is the royal bride in gold of Ophir. Listen, O daughter, consider and give ear. Forget your people and your father's house. The king is enthralled by your beauty. Honor him, for he is your Lord. The daughter of Tyre will come with a gift. Men of wealth will seek your favor. All glorious is the princess within her chamber. Her gown is interwoven with gold. In embroidered garments she is led to the king. Her virgin companions follow her and are brought to you. They are led in with joy and gladness. They enter the palace of the king. Your sons will take the place of your fathers. You will make them princes throughout the land. I will perpetuate your memory through all generations. Therefore, the nations will praise you forever and ever. Now, Song of Songs, or Song of Solomon, chapter 7. How beautiful your sandaled feet, O prince's daughter! Your graceful legs are like jewels, the work of a craftsman's hands. Your navel is a rounded goblet that never lacks blended wine. Your waist is a mound of wheat, encircled by lilies. Your breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes are the pools of Heshbon, by the gate of Bath-rabbim. Your nose is like the tower of Lebanon, looking toward Damascus. Your head crowns you like Mount Carmel. Your hair is like royal tapestry. The king is held captive by its tresses. How beautiful you are, and how pleasing, O love, with your delights. Your stature is like that of the palm, and your breasts like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree, and I will take hold of its fruit. May your breasts be like the clusters of the vine, the fragrance of your breath like apples, and your mouth like the best wine. She replies, May the wine go straight to my lover, flowing gently over lips and teeth. I can't speak. I belong to my lover, and his desire is for me. Come, my lover, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded, if their blossoms have opened, and if the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy, both new and old, that I have stored up for you, my lover. That's all the notes to here, concluding today in Hebrews chapter 7. Now remember, the people to whom this letter was being sent are Hebrews. They're Jewish people who would have understood the context behind the who Melchizedek was. They would have understood that he is this king that's mentioned in passing, this priest of the Most High God, mentioned in Genesis, I think chapter 9. I could be totally wrong. I'm looking. No, Genesis 14. So they would have understood this, and they would also have understood these references. He's only mentioned in passing. We know nothing of his lineage. We know nothing of the people who came after him. We don't know really where he's from. He's just mentioned as this king of Salem, which is just a term that literally just means peace. And so we don't really know anything else about the man. All we know is that he was a priest of God, and excuse me, and then that was it. But with high priests, it is very important for them to state how long they live and what the how long they essentially reign in their post, because when the high priest dies, that's when we've talked before about the not the year of Jubilee, but we talked in passing about cities of refuge for the manslayer. We're going to get into more detail on that later. But when what is it? When the high priest dies, that is when they would basically retry the cases and people would be released who were living in these cities of refuge that were ruled by the high priest of that town. These are priestly cities. That's the point, right? So it's an important thing to know when a high priest lives and dies, and so you can basically understand, well, this is a transition now between this and the next time. We don't know that about him. He's mentioned in passing. There's many people who believe that he is what's called a Christophany. What's a Christophany? That is an Old Testament experience of Jesus in the flesh. So Jesus appears and is physically there so people can see him and touch him, and he eats with people, like Abraham. It's important. Let's begin in the text. Again, questions, concerns, tons of them are answered already in the notes. Let's begin. This Melchizedek was king of Salem and priest of God Most High. He met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed him. And Abraham gave him a tenth of everything. First, his name means king of righteousness, then also king of Salem, means king of peace. Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, like the Son of God, he remains a priest forever. We don't know any of his history. We don't know where he lived. We don't know when he died. We don't know none of these things. So because of that, he, if he was just a regular man, essentially we could say he's still living. We don't know what happened to him. Right? Continuing. Just think how great he was. Even the patriarch Abraham gave him a tenth of the plunder. Now the law requires the descendants of Levi who become priests to collect a tenth from the people, that is, their brothers, even though their brothers are descended from Abraham. This man, however, did not trace his descent from Levi, yet he collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had the promises. And without doubt, the lesser person is blessed by the greater. In the one case, the tenth is collected by men who die, but in the other case, by him who is declared to be living. One might even say that Levi, who collects the tenth, paid the tenth through Abraham. Because when Melchizedek met Abraham, Levi was still in the body of his ancestor. If perfection could have been attained through the Levitical priesthood, or on the basis of it, the Levitical priesthood, the law was given to the people. Why was there still a need for another priest to come? He's saying, look, if you just revert back, as this is what people are considering, reverting back to just plain Judaism, if you revert back to that, think carefully. Why is it that you became a Christian instead of staying in the method you were in before? It's like, clearly, as we've already read through in Romans, the law cannot save you. All it can do is condemn you. It shows God's perfect standard, and it says you can't meet this. And it pushes you to look for the deliverer who was to come. The deliverer who was to come is Jesus, who has already come. So if you reject Jesus, you're rejecting the promised deliverer, the Messiah, that the law presented to us, that said that we must trust in him who is to come. So if we reject that, then you're just putting yourself back under the law. If you put yourself back under the law, then you have to obey the law perfectly. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's what he's saying. Continuing. Verse 11, if perfection could have been attained through the Levitical priesthood, for on the basis of it the law was given to the people, why was there still a need, or the need, for another priest to come? One in the order of Melchizedek, not in the order of Aaron. For when there is a change of the priesthood, there must also be a change of the law. He, of whom these things are said, belonged to a different tribe, and no one from that tribe has ever served at the altar. For it is clear that our Lord descended from Judah. And in regard to that tribe, Moses had said nothing about priests. And what we have said is even more clear if another priest like Melchizedek appears, one who has become a priest not on the basis of a regulation as to his ancestry, but on the basis of the power of an indestructible life. For it is declared, quote, you are a priest forever in the order or after the order of Melchizedek. This is from Psalm 110, verse 4. The former regulation is set aside because it was weak and useless, for the law makes nothing perfect. And a better hope is introduced by which we draw near to God. And it was not without an oath. Others became priests without any oath, but he became a priest with an oath when God said to him, "The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever." Because of this oath, Jesus has become the guarantee or guarantor of a better covenant. Now, there have been many of those priests since death prevented them from continuing in office. But Jesus lives forever. Because he lives forever, he has a permanent priesthood. Again, the high priest has moved on to the next person when the priest dies. But Jesus won't die ever. He maintains his priesthood. That's the point being made. Verse 25. Therefore, he is able to save completely those who come to God through him, because he always lives to intercede for them. Such a high priest meets our needs. One who is holy, blameless, pure, set apart from sinners, exalted above the heavens. Unlike the other high priests, he does not need to offer sacrifices day after day, first for his own sins and then for the sins of the people. He sacrificed for their sins once for all when he offered up himself. For the law appoints as high priests men who are weak, but the oath, which came after the law, appointed the Son who has been made perfect forever. That's it. That is all the reading and all of the notes for today. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.